at 9 o'clock. Pete, would you lead us in the flag salute?
Sure. Is it because of the patriotic colors?
It is.
It is.
Good morning. Welcome to our regularly scheduled meeting of the Board of Supervisors. If you please stand and join me in our flag salute, we'll be led this morning by Supervisor Vanderpool. Remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you.
Please join me in saluting the flag of our great nation. Ready? Salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Please be seated. We'll take up the Board of Supervisor matters. We'll begin with Supervisor Vanderpool.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Well, looking back upon what happened this last week, I won't talk about as many of the county activities, but I will talk about why I'm wearing a red shirt.
What's it say?
And it does say Fresno State, and it does smell a little bit like it was washed. So I was very thankful for that. Thank you, Supervisor Chucklin. I appreciate that. I did partake in the UCLA Fresno State game at the Rose Bowl, and I think I was the last remaining UCLA fan in the stadium in the fourth quarter because my brother-in-law and sister-in-law go to Fresno State, or went to and go to Fresno State. So I got to enjoy the big Fresno State party, basically trash talking my alma mater, my UCLA Bruins. But people ask me, so what was the best part about the whole weekend? We got great parking. We when we got there, we bought a scalped parking pass, and it put us I could throw a rock and hit the Rose Bowl. So that was the best part of the whole weekend for me. Was
maybe you should have quarterbacked.
It wasn't the fact that I spent time with my wife and family. It really was about the parking spot down there, and the tailgating was fun too. But that being said, we lost. But I'm looking forward to 2020 already. That's the next scheduled game against Fresno State. And not sure if Chip Kelly will still be around, even though he's got a 5-year contract, but we'll see. And hopefully there are better days ahead for my Bruins. I always look forward to basketball season. All right, so now to county business. Thursday at 2, the Retirement Board will be having an administrative committee meeting that I serve on. Friday at 10 a.m., I will be delivering the welcoming remarks in English and Spanish at the Southern California Edison Hispanic Heritage Month. They wanted a county supervisor to deliver the welcome, and the representative from Southern California Edison said, I think you're the only one who speaks Spanish. I said, try Shucklin. But that didn't happen. And then lastly, on Monday, the Tulare Library Foundation will be having their annual fundraiser called Night at the Library. That will be held at the Tulare Library from 5:30 to 7:30. It's always a great event. They do have food and alcohol in coordination with various books that they select to actually have acted out during the evening. It's a wonderful event. So that's all I have, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Good. Supervisor Shucklin.
Sure. Last week on Thursday, I attended the Latina Professional Women's Luncheon, where they gave out some awards to some local Latina women for the work that they do. I also had my Animal Services Advisory Committee, where we again started looking over the draft of our new breeder ordinance and kennel standards. It's been online, and we got a lot of really good comments that we've added to that. So we look forward to continuing to work on that. Also, last Thursday in this very room, we had our Fire Academy graduation and 2 promotions of our fire personnel. So that was a very nice and well-attended event. Thank you, Chief. That night, I also attended a dinner at the Office of Education with President Joseph Castro of Fresno State regarding the South Valley Integrated Teacher Program, where they're having classes here at Fresno State to help those who want to become teachers, so they don't have to go up to Fresno, and actually we're working...
That was Fresno State.
Fresno State. Yeah. Isn't that what I said?
Yeah, I just want to make sure.
Fresno State.
Fresno State.
Yeah, Fresno. Yeah. So, and then last Friday morning, we had our first meeting of our redevelopment oversight committee. In the past, each city had something that, when the state stopped redevelopment, each city had their oversight committee to do what we have to do with those properties that were bought with redevelopment money. Now it's collapsed into one oversight committee, and I was elected chair of the committee. Actually, they said, who wants to be chair, step forward, and everyone stepped back, and there I was. So now that'll be a good committee. We'll be meeting once a year, so I'll be busy with that one. And then this afternoon, I will be leaving for the RCRC conference in Napa, which is the Rural County Representatives of California, and I'm looking forward to that and seeing folks from other counties. It's always nice to see folks and talk and see what other counties are doing and how things are affecting them. So I'll be heading up there with Supervisor Crocker, and then it's not with them, but they'll be there also. That's it.
Thank you. Supervisor Crocker.
Yes, I'll also be attending RCRC's annual conference. It should be a good conference this year. We've got on the actual board meeting, we will be accepting membership. Well, presumably, we will be accepting membership of Sonoma County. Sonoma County historically has not been involved, but I think they have seen the value of the organization as we have been crafting forest management policy discussions and being at the forefront of what's been happening in the state over the last several years with catastrophic fires. So they will be joining, and so Tulare County will no longer be the largest member county. Sonoma County is slightly larger than us, so they will be taking over those reins. But I'm very optimistic as other counties see the value of what RCRC does. Not only that, but on economic development front, and I know they've been working with our economic development team and just on a myriad of other issues. In addition, last week I missed the board meeting as I was in Washington, D.C. serving on the San Joaquin Valley Policy Council. The board already heard a lengthy debriefing yesterday, so I won't go into all of that, but we did make quite a bit of progress on transportation policy. We are moving in the right direction. We're hoping next year to get some legislation passed that will help with regulatory relief as well as specialized funding for a farm-to-market route program that would be specific for off-highway dollars, similar to what we're already doing now, but be able to get federal dollars to expand that program, not only for Tulare County, but for the rest of the San Joaquin Valley. One thing that I didn't mention about that trip, that there were 5 of us that had separate meetings with staff or members of the Senate, and we discussed specific water policy as it relates to California and the San Joaquin Valley. And we emphasized Temperance Flat. We met with Chairwoman Murkowski's staff and the Senate Energy and Natural Resources Committee staff. We met with several other members of that staff as well, just to make sure that they knew about our unique challenges that we have in California. Although we do definitely have unique challenges, there are water challenges throughout the western states. And so essentially, there isn't any positives as far as immediate relief. But the thought is that if there could be a larger water infrastructure package that works its way through the Senate next year, that via a conference committee, that the House and the Senate could come to terms that could have some specific relief and dollars for California's water problem, and in particular in regards to funding for infrastructure projects as well as regulatory relief via some of the Endangered Species Act issues that we've been seeing. So very positive from that point. It's just keeping, hammering that nail into the coffin and trying to make sure that we continue that effort.
Have they considered inundation of Sacramento?
That's a good point. No, we need to bring that up next meeting. Let's see. On Thursday, there is a conference or a press conference for Prop 3, which is our November water bond. It's going to be held just below Friant Dam. Prop 3 we as a board have been vocal about this. We've been advocating for it for a while. It is an $8 billion bond that ensures the state prioritizes funding of water infrastructure projects throughout California. There are many regional projects. Some of the benefits that we have is that Sigma, which is currently unfunded mandate, will have $600+ million that we would be in a prime position to actually get a large portion of those funds to help us with the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act. There's water quality dollars to help with some of our disadvantaged communities and the needs that they have, as well as a large portion for forest management. So it's ensuring that we minimize our risk for catastrophic fires, ensure that we have good water quality that comes down the hill, and we're not losing precious precipitation to evapotranspiration, and we're getting it into our communities and farms. So very good thing. And I'd be remiss if I didn't say, and we've got our great crop report today, and we've got another great Bounty of the County event this Friday for the Tulare County Farm Bureau. So make sure if you haven't got your tickets to grab your tickets. And I think Tricia is around, and she might be able to direct you to some tickets.
She's got them in her purse.
Supervisor Rennes.
Sounds good. I really like that forest management. Maybe we can work some kind of litigation in there that every time the Sierra Club rears their ugly face, we can sue them to help pay for these fires they've caused. So, be nice. No, I'll be heading up to Napa to the RCRC conference. Looking forward to that. That's always an interesting conference to go to. In fact, I think I enjoy that more than the CSAC conference because people seem to be more in line with our way of thinking here in the Valley and Tulare County. And Saturday night, I'll be going to the Sierra View Medical Center big gala event on Saturday night there at the fairgrounds. So that's what I have in the near future. Thank you.
Very good, thank you. Just on the social side of things, last Friday, Dinuba, which is a D2 school, played Edison, which is a D1 school from Fresno, and beat them handily, which was a precursor to the following night when I watched Fresno State beat UCLA. And the quarterback for Fresno State is a Dinuba gentleman by the name of Marcus McMarion, responsible for 5 of the 7 touchdowns that they had.
7 touchdowns, wow.
Yeah. So it was a good weekend for Dinuba football fans. I did speak yesterday to the Republican Women's Organization in your hometown, Pete, in Tulare last night, and it was a warm reception there. We had a meeting last Friday of the Water Infrastructure Authority in Fresno, working towards the process of signing over the $172 million award we received on the water bond to a group that will be what we consider the investors who will have to come up with significant dollars to make this project move forward. We're hopeful that will continue. I have, unlike 3 of my colleagues, I will be going to a retreat this week for the Air Board up at Bass Lake, so I'll be doing that on Wednesday and Thursday. And that concludes my report. And now we have something which is always great. Oh, I'm sorry. Amy had something else.
The other thing I won't be here for, but this Friday, over the past year, we worked with CSAC, which is our state organization, on having a CSAC Institute class here. CSAC Institute offers some great classes for county employees to take. You can get a credential I just recently received my supervisor credential. So we will have a campus here in Tulare County at our HR building. I understand the first class is already sold out and filled up, so we're looking forward to having folks from outside of Tulare County and other regions coming into Tulare County. And I want to thank our chief clerk, Melinda Benton, for taking the lead on that and getting everything situated. So look forward to that.
Thanks for reminding me. And I will be giving an introductory welcome to them. I was advised that not only was it filled up to capacity, but they didn't even get a chance to reach out like to Kern County.
Yes.
So they're looking next year perhaps at trying to expand, find expanded facilities. Do you have a comment to make about Kern?
I said they, Kern County.
Okay, all right. Anyway, so very successful, it seems like, before it even gets started. This time we will take up then something again, which is always a great pleasure every year, and it'll be my 20th crop report. And so I'm anxious to hear from our commissioner, and welcome.
It's my version of a drum roll.
Is that what that was?
Yeah, more like a bongo.
I don't know what the
I thought it was a crocodile flapping its tail.
Well, that too.
Good morning, everyone. I'm here to present the 2017 Annual Crop and Livestock Report. I'd like to thank all of the producers and the packing sheds and cold storages that took the time to return our surveys. Sometimes they respond in very colorful ways, but we really rely on that information to make this crop report as accurate as possible. And also to the staff who in record time put together crop statistics and put it together in a very nice report for you. And as always, the print shop does a great job at meeting our demands for, well, we'd really like to get it on this agenda date, and so they do a fantastic job. Our overall value for 2017 is $669 million more than the previous year, which was 6.37, I believe. So our value is $7,039,929,000.
Which is more than Fresno County.
By about $11 million, which doesn't seem like so much if you had that in, when you think about billions of dollars, but if you had that in your bank account.
I'm sure that goes over well at home, Marilyn.
Well, we actually don't compete, but it is.
Yeah, what do you get from winning that bet?
I get to stay in my house. But
The way he would have been kicked out.
it's 10.5% more than the previous year, which is right at what all the other San Joaquin Valley counties have done when they released their report. So we're going to stay at the number 2 county in the nation. Kern County is releasing this afternoon, we hear, and Glenn said they were going to be slightly higher than the previous year. So all of their nut crop production is really coming into play with that. Last year I told you that we had over 50,400 acres of new permanent plantings put in. And so that part of it is slowing down some, but we still had, 13,500 acres put in. So they're not in production yet, but over the next few years, our nut crops especially will come into production. And walnuts was the only nut crop that's kind of leveling off, it seems. Our milk value is $1.77 billion, which is 8% higher than the previous year. Things were pretty much tanked last year, so the price improved for about 9 months out of the year. So we still have a decrease in dairies. I think we're down another 13 dairies in 2017.
How is our cow population, though? I know in many cases you're losing these smaller dairies. Are there, what's happening there?
Some of the cows we lost to Washington State and the Midwest, but we actually increased cows. Not by a whole lot, but we use state figures for that. And so it was somewhere around 456,000 cows, not replacement herd or calves. So we're right at 25% of our overall value for our milk production. In the past, it's always been about 30 to 32% of our overall value. So you can tell with dairies going out of business or just selling out because they're tired, it's having an effect. Our top 5 crops are milk, grapes, oranges, cattle and calves, and tangerines. The grapes includes raisins, juice grapes, and table grapes. So it's the table grapes that had a pretty spectacular year. We're the number 2 producing county. Kern is number 1, so their value is also going to go up significantly. All of the categories that make up our crop report are pretty significantly affected by the amount of permanent plantings we have. So the fruit and nut category, which includes berries, we're at 55% of our production comes from those commodities. Our field crops is like the shrinking violet, so I think that will continue for some time. We're still the number 1 exporting county in the nation. Citrus crops make up 52% of our overall exports, and nut crops are gaining speed. They always seem to be finding new markets for nut crops. China is our number 1 export partner. We actually do more export certifications for South Korea, but it's 6.2 million cartons going to China and 5.6 million cartons to South Korea. With that, I'd take any questions or comments that you have.
Marilyn? Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, talking about China, how do we know yet how tariffs are going to affect the crops and our farmers?
Well, we know major producers that are still shipping, and so they're willing to keep that market, and the tariffs are a part of that. But the year that China shut down to oranges, we miraculously had more exports going through Thailand and Hong Kong, which end up in China. So things have a way of working themselves out.
Okay, thank you.
Supervisor Rennes?
Marilyn, as my predecessor, Mr. Maples, would always look at the manure. And big increase there. A lot of commodities being consumed by those cows.
And it's because of organic manure. We had the highest value ever per ton for organic production, so they've really found a niche.
Interesting that there's certified organic manure. All manure is organic,
marketing.
and I'm curious about the certification process. But, that said, great report, Marilyn. I always look forward to seeing all the detail and to really see how agriculture is changing in Tulare County, because I think this is a really good snapshot of that shows the nimbleness and the ability of agriculture to change with the times as the demand changes as well. One area that I know we've talked about quite a bit in the past, and I was curious just for a little bit of commentary from you, is regarding apiary products. I know that there's been a real bee shortage, and they've had some diseases, I believe. Can you just comment on that? Because I see that it increased in value by $24 million, and that was interesting to me.
Well, there's a lot of politics related to that issue. All we can speak to is what we have reported to us.
Okay.
So we had, I believe it was an increase in apiary products, pollination services. Almond growers, they contract usually with the same folks year after year. Okay. And so the beekeepers, whether they're in-state or out-of-state, will cater to those almond growers who need pollination services. But we do have millions and millions of dollars worth of honey production. So,
they haven't really had the colony collapse or any of that issue necessarily hit Tulare County then?
Yes, it can hit every beekeeper, but, there's lots of factors. A chemical company or growers, they'll say that, where did the bees overwinter? Where did they spend their summers? There's plenty of factors that could contribute to that.
And this question really does stem around a little bit of self-interest because I'm allergic to bees, so I want to make sure that I know where and where not to go. So
You're not allowed to spray them, so.
Marilyn, I just comment about your comment about the field crops reducing. I would say one of the things I've observed is that a lot of these dairies, some of the dairies that are going out of production, their land, which probably historically was in field crops, is being planted to nuts.
Diversifying.
They're diversifying. And the other thing is that I think that Sigma is going to have a huge impact on field crops. I don't know. I don't think we're going to have a sustainable yield that's going to allow for double, triple cropping like we're accustomed to seeing on a lot of this property. And so I suspect that you're going to see that continue to decline.
We already have corn growers who switch it to last minute and put in sorghum because it takes less water. So
I understand sorghum takes about half as much water and it has about 2/3 the nutritional value of the corn. So it's not a bad trade-off when your biggest constraint is water. So I think you'll be seeing more of that too. I met with some folks that they have most of the contracts for providing wheat seed that the ag industry, that the dairy industry uses. I said, well, I can see where that may become the primary crop because they could plant a winter wheat crop and they might have enough water they can pump to get a good crop of wheat, and they may be all done as
the
far
free
as
water.
yeah, using all that water. So anyway, great report, and when we think about the future, Kern County, they better enjoy their moment in the sun because we know that Sigma is going to have a huge impact in that county. Sadly, I don't say that in the sense of boastfulness, but this whole Sigma thing is going to have a huge impact on agriculture in the valley.
I just hope the fallowed ground doesn't become a big reservoir for weeds and pests.
Well, I thought that too. If you go back 125 years ago, the whole San Joaquin Valley was a giant wheat field. So there is the potential for people to do dry farming or have a little bit of pumping to do a little, like I said, to finish off a good crop. But given the fact that this land is there, and for most cases people have wells and they have infrastructure, I'm always amazed at the resiliency of farmers and their ability to try to find different ways of doing different things. But I share your concern, and I have a very big concern about cities that may need to buy ag property to provide enough water for their cities and what that would mean in terms of fallowing property. So we have some real challenges ahead of us. But this is a great report, and hats off to your office and putting it together and the farmers that find ways to stay in business and keep us going. Any other comments?
Thank
great
you.
Report. Go ahead.
That's it. No, that's it.
Great report.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
We'll try to exit as quietly as possible.
You don't
We
have
don't need to take
all
action
that
on this,
stuff.
do we? All right, we will now go to public comments. Anybody wishing to address the board this morning on matters within our jurisdiction but not on today's agenda are invited to come forward this time and make a comment. Yes, sir, you can speak?
Yes. Can I do it from here?
No, we prefer you to speak to the microphone and give us your name and address, please, because we are recorded and we're also being broadcast live on the web.
My name is Ken Bryan. My concern is the new Betty Drive infrastructure not being completed by the Road 64 in particular. Road 64 is not a full road, not striped, not wide enough. There's a near accident daily. 304 now is being inundated with traffic because of the Betty Drive. I have inquired more than once over more than a year about what the county road department is doing with no plans at this time, is what I'm told. That is an injustice to what we're doing, how we're living out there.
I appreciate your coming forward with that. I spoke to our RMA director this morning because I had reason to go through the community yesterday on my way to Tulare, and I was very concerned that there's no exit or entrance onto the 99 at this point going southbound, I believe, out of the community because the cloverleaf is not open, and they've shut off the hook ramps that we had.
Well, there is. You just have to find it.
Oh, okay. Well, it's difficult.
You'll learn
to
it
find.
in time.
Let's just
but
say it's difficult to find.
There is.
And as to the road, is it 64 that we're going to be? It is going to be done. And that's part of the whole project is that we will be widening that road and making it not only wider, but it's going to take a reconstruction of that road. And we have significant funding from the batch plant as a condition of their approval to go towards that. And then we're going to put our own funds into finishing that project. So we're going to make that because that'll be the primary entrance to that community and exit on the south and west end of the community. Because at this point, it's that and Betty Drive, and that's it. So no, that it's on our agenda to get done. I can't tell you exactly when it's going to be done, but I know that it's something that we will get done.
Well, that's what I'm here curious to learn. Has it been designed? Has it been bid out? No, we're not. I don't think we're at that point. You might want to speak to our RMA director because he could fill you in on that. But it's more than just a thought. Well, we need some results out there daily. It really doesn't need to be left on the back burner much longer.
I agree.
Thank you.
Anybody else wishing to speak to the board? If not, we will close the public comment and move on to our. Let's do our consent calendar and get it out of the way. Items 6 through 15. Are there any items which members wish to handle separately? If not, I would entertain a motion.
Move for approval of consent calendar.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any public comment on the consent calendar? We have a motion by Supervisor Ennis and a second by Supervisor Shuckman. Please cast your votes. Votes are unanimous. Now we'll go to our timed items. Item number 4 is a public hearing, a request from the Resource Management Agency to approve a vacation of Effie Drive and Kermia Street between Betty Drive and Road 67 in Goshen. We're on Goshen again. It's the topic of the day.
Wrong.
I like vacations.
Good morning, Reed Shanky with the Resource Management Agency, and yes, another Goshen topic here. Today, the item before you is a vacation of a portion of Effie Drive, just north of Betty Drive. The request ultimately, as you know, to do these vacations, we require a public hearing to provide opportunity for the public to comment on the proposed vacation. The roadway no longer serves a purpose to other properties other than the one, so you'll see on a map here in the future slide. The adjacent property owner, the applicant, Cruise Investments, owns the property adjacent to the section of roadway that we are talking about today, and they plan to utilize the property for further development of the site. So you're familiar with where Goshen is. You can see kind of the boot-shaped portion of Effie Drive and Kermia Street that we're talking about here. As a result of the overpass over the railroad, Effie Drive was basically cul-de-sac there at the end, and you can see where the portion of the roadway results. The Betty Drive comes up, so there's the embankment coming down, and the new Road 67, well, new 5 or so years ago, a little bit more than that, was realigned around to leave that section of roadway in place there. You can see here, this is the parcel currently owned by Cruise Investments, and on the north side is the Union Pacific Railroad. Down here to the south and west is the new Betty Drive overpass, which should be open. Caltrans, I just actually got an email from them. They claimed that they were aiming to open it up on Monday, that hook ramp. So if it's not open yet, then we'll follow up, but it should be open there soon. Another item that this vacation would actually help clear up is utilizing the railroad right-of-way. People are kind of cutting underneath the bridge here, and that's a safety issue from the railroad's perspective. Here's a ground view photo of Effie Drive, kind of on the north side looking south. So you insert outlined in red there is what the proposed vacation would be. If this vacation is approved, the road would be, you can see a stop sign here on 67. That would be eliminated, and some striping and other improvements would kind of cut this around so that it would be a through road there, and this would basically serve as a driveway for the property. Provisions within this vacation, our standard provision is a reservation for public utilities. In addition to that, a slightly unique one is that because of the embankment back here, we're going to preserve access for road improvements and maintenance. It's not for the road within the vacation area here, but it's to maintain that slope in the embankment back there. A secondary portion of this kind of vacation here is within the boot. This triangular piece is actually a fee-owned parcel that the county owns, and because this is basically a portion of the right-of-way to some extent, a second item will be coming before your board to transfer that property over to this property owner here. So it'll result in kind of one large parcel for him there. The vacation is consistent with the adopted plans and policies of County of Tulare, and we'll be removing 0.17 of a mile from the maintained mileage system. So with that, the request is to hold the public hearing, determine that the subject excess right-of-way is unnecessary for present or prospective use, and that the vacation is in the public interest. Order the subject right-of-way be vacated, reserving and accepting an easement and right for public utilities and road maintenance. Determine the vacation is exempt from CEQA, and direct the clerk of the board to record the resolution. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Questions or comments? Okay. Open the public hearing. Anyone wishing to address the board on this matter this morning is invited to come forward this time. Mike's coming up. Tell us about the great economic development opportunities that this is going to provide. And we won't say a word about USC.
Mike Washam, RMA. Just to mention, this is going to provide efficiencies for the company, their operations. It's going to be safer for them, as what they're proposing to do is to be able to do some of their truck maintenance on that facility. Right now, it's at the far north end where the trucks are having to go through. As they expand their capacity at the facility, this is able to divert those trucks into the safer environment. So it's a benefit and allows them to expand their existing capacities.
Good. Thank you. All right. Close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for action. I have a motion by Supervisor Shucklin. Seconded by Supervisor Crocker. Please cast your votes. Votes are, unanimous.
I pressed it.
I was on the edge of my seat.
I know. It was tough. Next, item 5, the public hearing request from the Resource Management Agency to repeal ordinance number 3363 pertaining to the approval of development agreement number PDA 07-002 between the County of Tulare and MERG Investments LLC.
Chairman Wardley, Supervisors, Michael C. Spada, CAO, Council. I am Aaron Bach, Interim Assistant Director, RMA, Economic Development and Planning. Before you today is the cancellation of development agreement PDA 07-002, repeal of ordinance number 3363, and the transfer of conditions to final site plan PSR 07-017. Thank you for pronouncing that correctly, Supervisor. I didn't know what that was. MERG development. And so you're going to use all your powers today to complete this formal process. The project itself is 7.19 acre parcel located in the PDC-3SC zone on the south side of Noble Avenue, south side of State Highway 198, approximately 650 feet east of Road 132, east of the city of Visalia. The development history is that in 1992, a development agreement was reached with PDA 92-003, which covered the areas from the CRISP property, drive-in theater, to Caltrans and the MERG projects. Final site plan, PSR 07-017, separated out MERG's entitlement from the 1992 development agreement. Under planned development zoning, a new development agreement was required at the time, and the development agreement PDA 07-002 was approved with additional conditions.
So as you can see, Merck Development has developed out the entire property and is separated out from the drive-in theater. The findings the board needs to make to fulfill and complete this entitlement is the development agreement PDA 07-002 between Tulare County and Merg Investments has served its purpose because the site is fully developed and therefore shall not be renewed. An ordinance shall be adopted to repeal development agreement ordinance number 3363. An agreement has been signed by Merg Development LLC to cancel development agreement PDA 07-002, which was allowed under the original development agreement. And the conditions within PDA 07-002 can be transferred to final site plan number PSR 07-017 as a superior entitlement, which shall run with the land and not require extensions or renewed agreements. And that completes my presentation today. I'm here to answer all your questions if need be, and these are the requests, so I would request that you open up a public hearing.
I don't think in 20 years I've ever seen anything like this.
As far as the cancellation of a development
No,
agreement?
your presentation.
Oh. Especially by me.
Strictly numbers.
Yeah, no, as far as cancellation, like I don't think I've ever seen one of these.
Right.
Very unusual, I think.
As a previous developer, I did a few, but yes.
Any questions, comments?
Unusual is right.
Okay. We'll open the public hearing. Anybody wishing to address the board in this matter, please come forward and do so. It's not in Goshen, so no, it's not controversial. So we'll bring it back to the board for action.
Move for approval.
Motion by Supervisor Ennis, second by Supervisor Crocker. Please cast your votes.
Wait report.
Votes are unanimous. Thank you very much, Aaron.
Thank you.
We will now go to our untimed items, and beginning and ending with item 16, a presentation by our own board staff regarding the redesign of the Tulare County Capitol display.
Good morning, Board, CAO, Council, and Clerk. Julieta Martinez, Chief of Staff for the Board of Supervisors. And today I bring you a very brief presentation and update on our Capitol display project. As you have been told before, this project was last updated December of 2014 by the Leadership Porterville class as their project for their term of the program. Unfortunately, we've had some technical malfunctions since then, which caused us to take a look at this display once again and review the program. So, on August 18th of 2017, this board voted to create an ad hoc and appointed Supervisor Kyler Crocker and Amy Shucklian to begin work on a redesign of the current display. Since then, we have had different visions shared. We've looked through some different models. We have had some staffing changes due just to time constraints and other projects that needed attention. And so today I bring to you a rendering with the help of the DMI agency for you to please provide some input and direction. We are really hoping to keep the movement going, and by end of this year, December of 2018, get this display installed at our Capitol. So now I would like to call up Mr. Greg Bitney, Creative Director, and Ms. Karen Tilalian with the DMI agency. They have been working diligently to create this rendering for you today, and they will walk you through what this looks like, and we ask for any input you have.
Yes, good morning. I'm Karen Tilalian, President of DMI Agency, and I have with me our Creative Director, Greg Bitney. I'd like to begin by thanking Tulare County and the Board of Supervisors for engaging us to design and create a new display for the state capitol. What we have with us today is a mock-up of that display, and at this time I'm going to turn it over to Greg. He's taken the lead on this, and he can walk you through what you're seeing here.
Yes, in researching content.
Greg, you want to swivel that mic? You can swivel that mic around if you want. It could be on this side. There you go.
Yeah, in researching content for the piece, The challenge was not in coming up with relevant content. It was in trying to narrow it down to our story. Our county has an amazing history. Our major players have been innovators. Certainly our ag has put us on the world stage. And so one of the primary components of this piece is just a timeline history of the county. To give you a better idea, the final scale, this would be the actual size. The graphics would be on like a frosted plexiglass.
That's Steve's uncle.
The second component to it is just sort of a summary of what we have to offer in the area. Our headline is Tulare County, tallest mountain, biggest trees, happiest cows, and Hollywood loves us, pointing to our history of being used by Hollywood filmmakers, for scenes in movies. Most prominently in the display is the background mural of a giant sequoia. These side panels, we had started out with Moral Rock and Mount Whitney.
Thank you.
There's been input from the board members to replace those. We're just working on getting usage rights to photos of the Tulare River powwow. Just to point at our cultural diversity. Opposite panel, we'd like to go with a photo of a farmer's market. The colorful pedestals that you're seeing down here at the bottom would be used to showcase 5 of our prominent ag commodities. So we would have citrus, grapes.
Come on, you just heard the report, Greg.
Ice cream.
Yeah.
Ice cream.
Ice cream.
It's a commodity.
Yeah, and nuts and grapes.
Also, Greg, can you mention about the tree?
Oh, yes. The pedestal that you see right here would actually be made out of redwood. We're going to top that with an actual 3-dimensional model that was created by the COS students. It's about 24 inches tall. It's a plaster and moss type construction.
Great. Any questions, comments by board members? I want to thank our subcommittee for working on this, Mr. Vanderbilt.
The only comment I would make is just that this should be something that the board looks at regularly, because I know when you're up in Sacramento and you look at the various boxes that each county has, some of them look like they're as old as Mike Ennis, and there's others that look like they've been more cared for and regularly updated. And I think that's just something that we should do every couple of years, look at it and make sure that this board reflects our county, and certainly with the featuring of the top 5 commodities, have those be updated regularly as they change. And I look forward to the day that organic manure takes place
We can
on
put
one
that
of
in
those
there.
pillars. So, I'll do that. I'll bring my own organic manure. But I think that's very it very much reflects the county, and I think it would be well received up there.
I think it's worth noting that it isn't just seen by visitors to the Capitol. These displays get a lot of attention online. There's an online presence that where tourists, because they're writing articles on tourism, visiting the Capitol, actually feature these displays. They're write-ups. They show up in blogs. Santa Barbara County actually kind of underwent some social shaming because they had a stock photo of people playing volleyball on the beach. Received a lot of negative attention for that. So, it's worth putting our best foot forward.
I just want to share, I like it. It really captures the essence of Tulare County, but in a very contemporary way. So I like that. It's very clear and crisp, and I like it.
And
Supervisor Crocker?
just for historical context and going back to a year and a half ago, the main issue was the current display has a video screen that's not working right now. And so I think one of the benefits here is that electronics are really limited to just lighting. And so if there are issues within the Capitol, that minimizes any issues there, provides a ton of information. The history timeline is really a storyboard. It's more, it's interesting snippets about individuals and actions that I think attract people's attention for a longer period of time to ask questions about. It's more than just a facts of, this is how tall this mountain is, this is how large the circumference is. I mean, those are fun things as well, but this timeline really kind of talks about stories of individuals and incidents.
Yeah, it's a fascinating area.
Yeah, so I love it. I think it's great.
Any other comments or questions? I'm very pleased with the end result, and I had a chance to review this and make a few edits to it, and I think it's wonderful. And
Kudos to the ad hoc committee structure.
Yeah.
I like subcommittee. Ad hoc means although this will be temporary. This is going to be done.
Yeah. And I agree with what Supervisor Venable said. I think we do need to periodically look at these things because times change and even the way we present things changes. So I'm very happy with it. Glad that we're moving forward. And what's our timeline for implementation of this?
Our goal is to have it installed in Sacramento by the end of the year.
Very good. Now I understand that that building is going to be removed.
They're doing a lot of renovations and they're adding office space to the annex, which is
all this is located in the annex,
the
I believe.
east side.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Presentation, thank you.
And this does not take any action. It's a presentation. So
Thank you very much.
thank you very
Great
much.
job,
Yeah,
Julieta.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, closed session, council.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, items A and B are off calendar. Items C through F will be heard in closed session, and I do expect an announcement out.
Very good. Thank you for all being here today. Have a great day.
This is Deanne Peterson, County Council, reporting out on closed session item C. The Board of Supervisors authorized the defense of individually named county employee defendants, including those to be named later, under a reservation of rights in Hernandez Jr. Albert versus the City of Visalia, Tulare County Superior Court case VCU 274687. The adverse party is Plaintiff Albert Hernandez Jr., who is improper. This case involves plaintiff alleging a civil rights violation in connection with a juvenile court proceeding. The roll call vote was on the motion of Supervisor Vanderpool, seconded by Supervisor Ennis, 5-0 vote. This concludes the reporting out for today.